The night was silent, too silent. In the shadows of an empty street, a stray dog nobody noticed everything. And when a stranger's life hung by a thread, he didn't hesitate. This is the story of a hero without a name. Until that night. Market Street after midnight wasn't a place for dreamers. The neon shop signs flickered like tired eyes, and the air smelled faintly of old oil and rain. Most nights, it belonged to the shadows, and to one shadow in particular. Locals called him Ghost. A scrappy, ash-colored street dog with a limp in his back leg and eyes that burned with quiet intelligence. Ghost didn't belong to anyone, but everyone knew he was there. He would wander near the bakery for scraps, curl up beside the mechanic's shop for warmth, and disappear whenever anyone got too close. He wasn't aggressive, just cautious. That night, Ghost sat beneath a dim street lamp, licking a wound on his paw. The wind carried the faint scent of gasoline, faint enough that most humans would miss it. Ghost didn't. Somewhere in the distance, an engine roared far too loudly for the empty street. Then, the screech of tires. Ghost's head shot up. A silver sedan came fishtailing around the corner. The driver overcorrected. The car slammed into a light pole with a sickening crunch, and sparks lit up the darkness. Ghost's ears flattened. His body stiffened. The scent of gasoline grew sharper, heavier. The driver, a man in his 30s, was slumped over the wheel. No one else was on the street. And Ghost, the stray everyone ignored, started to run toward the fire. The impact had crumpled the hood of the sedan like paper. Steam hissed from the radiator, mingling with the smell of fuel. The man inside was barely conscious, a thin trickle of blood running down his temple. Ghost darted to the passenger side first, pawing frantically at the door. His nails scraped against the metal, but it wouldn't open. Inside, the man stirred and groaned. His eyes fluttered open just enough to see a blur of gray fur through the cracked window. "WH?" His voice was faint, drowned out by the hiss of leaking fuel. Ghost ran to the driver's side. The door was jammed. He barked, sharp, urgent barks, the kind that carried down the empty street. No answer. No footsteps. No one was coming. Then, a hiss turns into a pop. Flames began to curl beneath the mangled hood, orange against the black sky. Ghost circled back to the passenger side, barking louder, throwing his body against the door. He didn't know about explosions or fuel combustion, but he knew fire was death. The man inside coughed weakly, fumbling at the seatbelt. The belt was stuck. Ghost reared up on the door, barking again, desperate. Then, from somewhere deep in his survival-honed instincts, he made a choice. He bolted toward the alley. It wasn't running away. It was looking for help. Ghost's paws pounded the cracked pavement, each limp-jolted step fueled by urgency. He darted past the bakery, past shuttered shops, scanning every shadow for a human. Half a block away, a figure emerged, a young woman locking up her small cafe for the night. Ghost skidded to a stop in front of her, barking furiously. She jumped, clutching her keys. "Whoa, where did you come from?" Ghost barked again, then darted a few steps toward the crash site, looking back at her, eyes wide, tail rigid. The woman hesitated. "You want me to follow you?" Another bark. More insistent this time. She frowned, glancing toward the alley Ghost had come from. And then she smelled it, faint but unmistakable. Smoke. Okay. I'm coming." She broke into a jog, following Ghost's uneven gait. As they rounded the corner, the scene unfolded like something from a nightmare. The sedan engulfed in creeping flames, the man still trapped inside. The woman gasped, dropping her bag. "Oh my God." Ghost didn't stop. He ran straight to the passenger door, barking at it, pawing at the metal. The woman's eyes darted from the fire to the man inside. She grabbed the handle, stuck. Her hands shook as she yanked again. Still stuck. The heat from the flames was growing unbearable. And that's when they heard it. A deep, ominous hump from under the hood. The first explosion was seconds away. The hump from under the hood was like a heartbeat before a scream. The flames, once lazy tongues, now snapped like whips, racing up the windshield. The woman yanked at the passenger door again, her palms burning from the heat. "It's jammed," she cried, coughing as the smoke stung her eyes. Inside, the man was slumped sideways, half-conscious, still trapped by the seatbelt that refused to budge. Ghost barked frantically, darting to the driver's side. He pawed at the edge of the door, whining in frustration. The woman's eyes darted around wildly, and then she spotted it. A loose piece of rebar lying on the curb, maybe from old construction. She snatched it up, wedged it into the door seam and leaned her weight into it. The metal groaned. Flames licked the side mirror. The man coughed, gasping for air. Come on, come on. The door popped open with a screech. Heat poured out like the breath of a furnace. She leaned in, fumbling with the seatbelt, tugging hard until the frayed strap gave way. The man's eyes opened, glassy, confused. Who? He murmured. No time, she shouted. Ghost darted forward, grabbing the man's sleeve gently but insistently, tugging as if to help pull him out. Together, they dragged him free, stumbling backward into the street. 5 seconds later, the car erupted in a roaring fireball. They collapsed onto the curb, coughing and shaking. The man, pale and trembling, stared at the burning wreckage. The woman's chest heaved as she looked down at Ghost, who was still hovering near the man, tail low, ears pinned back. That dog, she gasped, turning to the man. He came and got me. If it wasn't for him. The man tried to speak but only managed a ragged, thank you. His voice cracked and his eyes fixed on the small, limping figure before him. Sirens wailed in the distance. Blue and red lights began to paint the buildings. Firefighters rushed in, dousing the flames, while paramedics tended to the man. One EMT glanced at Ghost. Is that your dog? The man shook his head weakly. Never seen him before tonight. The woman knelt, reaching out her hands slowly. You're a hero, you know that? She whispered. Ghost didn't move toward her, but he didn't back away either. His eyes stayed locked on the man he'd pulled from the fire, as if making sure he was safe. By the time the paramedics loaded the man into the ambulance, Ghost had slipped into the shadows. The woman called after him, wait, don't go. But he didn't turn around. Ghost wasn't used to attention. Streets were safer when no one knew where you slept. 4 days after, the woman and the rescued man, whose name was Daniel, searched for Ghost. They left out food near the crash site, asked shopkeepers, even posted online. One rainy night, nearly a week later, the woman found him curled up in the mechanic's doorway again, shivering. This time she didn't rush him. She just sat a few feet away, talking softly. She told him about Daniel, about how he was healing. She told him they wanted him to come home. Ghost's ears flicked, but he stayed put. Then, faintly from down the street, a voice called, Ghost? Daniel stood there, still bandaged, holding out a piece of bread from the bakery. Ghost's head tilted. He took a slow step forward. The first time Ghost allowed himself to be touched, it was Daniel's hand that reached him. He knelt, ignoring the ache in his ribs, and let Ghost sniff the bread before placing it on the ground. Ghost took it gently, eyes never leaving Daniel's. You saved my life, Daniel said quietly. You don't have to run anymore. From that night on, Ghost stopped being a ghost. He had a bed, a name, and a home, though the name Ghost stuck not as a shadow but as a legend. Local papers picked up the story. Headlines read, Stray Dog Saves Man from Burning Car. In the neighborhood, Ghost became more than a dog. He became a reminder that heroes aren't always the ones we expect. Sometimes they have 4 legs, a limp, and a past they never talk about. And every night, when the street lights flickered on, Daniel would glance down at the dog by his side, and remember the night when the silent street found its voice. Ghost wasn't looking for a home, but he found one the night he saved a stranger's life. Stories like his remind us that heroes can come from the most unexpected places, and sometimes they walk on 4 paws. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button so you never miss the next real-life tale of courage and loyalty. And in the comments below, tell us, what's the most incredible thing you've ever seen an animal do? Your story might inspire our next video. Asterisk.